Awesome. So again, so thank you for joining in today. So Julia and me, we are hosting this every single day, right? And today we are talking about absolute life and how we can achieve all the goals and dreams that we want to achieve in our lives, right? So in context through from last week Monday, we started to talk about goals and dreams, and it was the start of this new May session, right? Last week Monday, we talked about bucket lists, right? So I hope you had the time to write down your bucket list. If you haven't already, it doesn't matter, right? I think a bucket list is something you need to add on every single day, right? So whenever you go out and see new things, read new books, watch new videos, right? And you get these new ideas, new inspirations for what new things to do in life. Like you can just add it into the bucket list, right? That's what it's for, right? And I hope you're starting to write your bucket list now as well. So from last week to this week, I also hope you found an accountability partner for yourself as well, right? If you already have one, there's always room for more as well, right? So you can find multiple accountability partners that they can help you, you can help them, right? It's a teamwork, right? Life is teamwork anyways, right? So this is what we want to be doing. Now, today, we want to extend this bucket list a little bit more. So today's topics are two topics. So the first topic is the balanced life and life scenario. We first want to continue, yes, last week's discussion about the 4 areas of human desires, right? And how to put that into a format of a life scenario, which is this round thing that we'll be showing you later, right? And this will be sort of the compass for your life, right? So whatever you fill in, how you rate it, and how you maintain it on a monthly basis will be the tool, that compass for your life in that way. So that's the first topic we want to talk about. The second topic is the topic of seeking more clarity, right? Clarity is a habit skill, right? Last week, Friday, we talked about habits and how we can use the law of compounding to improve our habits every single day, right? Just a tiny bit every single day. And throughout a year, 3 years, 5 years, just by improving these things by just a tiny bit, it will compound and will improve our life exponentially. So today we want to talk about the first habit, the first habit being clarity. So these are the two topics that we want to cover here today. All right. So before I start with this whole thing, I want to talk about vision, and specifically right now, eyesight vision, right? So maybe some of you are wearing glasses. I noticed some of you are wearing glasses. Mr. Harry is wearing glasses. Mr. Balban is wearing glasses. I know Joe is wearing glasses sometimes, right? Maybe some of you are wearing glasses as well. And if you're wearing glasses, I want to let you know, I used to wear glasses too, right? So my journey of wearing glasses started in the second grade. And so yeah, from second grade, I was living in Germany, and my vision started to blur. I couldn't see the board where the teacher was writing, right? And I had problems in school, and then my parents figured out, okay, my vision got blurry, right? And they brought me to the eye doctor, examined my eyes, and then gave me eyeglasses. So from a very young age, from second grade, I had to start wearing eyeglasses, right? And these are my previous eyeglasses, just to tell you. So before I got rid of these glasses, my eyesight was at 700. So 675 on both sides. And that vision in context was for some of you who don't wear glasses, right? I'm short-sighted by a power of 6.75. Now, what this means is that a power of 6.75 means that I can read books like this. Here it gets blurry. Here I can read. Here it gets blurry, right? That's the eyesight of 6.75. And I think Joe also has quite some eyesight troubles as well. And the thing is, when when I had eyesight problem, and now you might ask, am I wearing contact lens, right? So I'm not wearing contact lens. I did LASIK, I think 5 years back when I was living in Philippines. Right? Philippines had one of the best LASIK clinics, right? So in Manila. So I went there. I was working over there, and I went there to this clinic, did my eyes, and I think Junia was there as well, and it was quite an experience. Right? So I came in blind and I came out blind because I couldn't see right afterwards. So it took a day for my eyes to recover, 2 days my eyes to recover. And yeah, and afterwards my eyes were fine. So I went from 6.75, 700 deficit in power, right, to an eye vision of 20/20. So my eyesight was perfect, right, like a couple of days after the operation, the LASIK operation. And the thing is, for an eye vision perspective, as somebody who wore glasses from a very, very young age, and then suddenly I don't have to wear glasses anymore, right? Every morning, like the days after the LASIK operation, every morning afterwards, I would still grab my glasses, put them on, and then everything was blurry. I couldn't see anything until I took it off again. And I realized, I fixed my eyes already. And that took that habit to go away for me to go grab my glasses to put on. That took a while, at least a month to 3 months for this habit to completely go away. So this now, 5 years afterwards, I don't even think about glasses anymore. So I just get up and I have my perfect vision after I rub my eyes and yawn a couple of times, right? But I have my perfect vision. So how this relates to is that when I had this imperfect vision, and whenever I didn't have this tool that were called glasses, right? And whenever I didn't have this tool called glasses to look through, my vision were blurry until I actually put those glasses on, and then I could see perfectly again, right? So this means twofold. So one thing, like we also need tools in our lives, right? That we need to sometimes like put on, utilize, use, right? Systems, tools, workshops, something that we need to use in order to, that we can put on like glasses or binoculars where we can have better vision, see further, right? And have clarity over the landscape that we want to oversee, right? So I remember I went to Paris with my parents once, and I don't know why I think of Paris right now, but we went to the Eiffel Tower, and on the Eiffel Tower, they had these like big binoculars where you can oversee the city and such, right? So on top of the Eiffel Tower, everything was like super tiny and small. But if you had binoculars, a tool to enhance your vision, right, then you have a tool to look further and look into like the roads and like the other castles, yeah, next very short way, right? But it wouldn't be visible to your naked eye, right? So what I mean is this, firstly, we need to have these tools and for improving our visions, right? So, and to study, to read, to come to these workshops, to attend one-day seminars, Success Academy, like go to courses, learn more, is a tool where we improve that vision of ours. It's not something we necessarily like put on our face, right? But with every time we study new things, learn about new things, we improve this vision tool that we have so that we can have a clear vision into a future, right? So, and to give you a little bit of an example for that. So I want you to do a quick activity with me. So take an object. So right now I have this tiny object with me, but take any object, any small object that you have in front of you, right? So if you are outside, then maybe you can stand still for a moment, Mr. Manoj, right? And look at an object that is around you, that's laying around either where you're standing or where you're sitting, right? For me, it's this tiny magnet right now, just to prove a point, right? So this is the tiny magnet that I'll be sticking onto this board, right? So I want you to do an activity with me briefly. So pick out an object that is laying in front of you, right? You can pick it up first and then just place it somewhere in front of you, right? So I'm gonna place this magnet here right now. And if you are holding a pen or something, right, just place this pen in front of you, right? So it's, you can see it, right? It's in your reach, right? So the first activity that I want you to do is right now is you can see the objects that you just thought of that you want to pick up, right? And what I want you to do now is basically picking up that object, right? So I mean, it's very simple, but I just do this activity with me, and we'll do a second activity to prove a point, right? So I see this object, I can reach it with my hand, I can touch it, I can pick it up and take it with me, right? So I hope you did this exercise with me, right? So if you have a pen in front of you, right? Let's say there's a pen in front of you, you see this pen, right? You know how far away it is from you, right? And you touch it and you grab it, right? So, okay, let's go to the second activity. The same thing. Now place this object in front of you again, right? I'm placing my magnet on my whiteboard right now, right? So it's there. But the difference between the first activity and the second activity is I want you to close your eyes, right? So I want you to close your eyes and reach for that object that you just reached for, right? So if it's the pen, right, you sort of remember where it is, right? So, but I want you to just close your eyes and try to grab it, right? So I'm trying to grab for the magnet right now. The thing is, I know where it is. I know where that magnet is. I know this is my goal to grab this magnet right now. This is my goal, right? But I don't have the vision, right? So what ends up happening is that I have to touch around the board, right? So this is trial and error. I have to try first, right? I found it. I grab it up and I bring it with me, right? Oh, wow, that room was very bad, right? So this is the second activity. So the first activity, you had vision to go and grab that object. The second activity, like you didn't have the vision to grab that object, but the end result was the same. It's just that the second activity might have taken a bit longer because your vision was not there. You didn't have vision to see that object, right? Therefore, I had to feel myself around. I have to try and test and trial and error around, right? But then when I found it, I grabbed it, and that was my goal, right? So this is my goal. So I hope you did this activity briefly with us, right? So this is the idea, the difference between having vision and not having vision, right? So if you have goals and dreams, right, that is the first target. My goal was to pick up that magnet from the whiteboard, right? That was my goal. My goal was very clear. Our goals were very clear. Now, the difference between the first one and the second activity was the goal was still the same, but the difference, the first one, I had the vision to grab that object. In the second one, I didn't have the vision to grab the object. Now, the result was still the same. I was able to grab that object, but it took me significantly longer, right? And I had to try and test the landscape of that whiteboard, right, in order to find that magnet, right? So I hope this example was clear to you, and you can use this as an example for your team as well. If you want to explain to them an example of vision, right? If you want to explain your team what's the difference between having vision and having no vision, right? Use this example of a random object on the table, right? Have them grab it when their eyes are open and have them grab it again when their eyes are closed, right? Now, when the eyes are closed, of course, they can grab it according to memory, but most of the time people will still touch and feel around in order to make sure that that object is the right object. So like your senses are limited to other senses, right? All right. So again, so welcome to the session. So we were talking about vision, how important vision is, right? And today, what we will talk about today is basically something where we will have more clarity in order to create that vision, right? So the two things we'll be talking about is the life scenario, and the second thing is the clarity and the habit, right? So let's go into the life scenario right away. So if you are very, very new to our sessions, right? Ta-da-da-ta. So this is the magical blue book that we have here with Atomy. It's called My Life Scenario. And we talked about this last week already. So last week when we were talking about this, we were talking specifically about the bucket list. And the bucket list was just an easy way to write down your goals and dreams, right? So just like literally list all the things down that you want and desire in your life, right? It doesn't matter if you think they will come true. Don't prejudge yourself whether you can or you can't, right? Just write out all the things down that you desire, right? And this is the first step. Now, last week when we talked about the bucket list, we also talked about the 4 areas of human desires, right? And in the 4 areas of human desires, when we talked about it, we talked about spirit, about soul, about body, and environment. So I want to briefly go into that topic again this week, just to go a little bit deeper into that. And then I want to talk about how you can basically translate your bucket list into this life scenario sheet. Ta-da-da-ta. Right, so once your goals and dreams are in this life scenario, right, you'll start to have a compass for your life, where you know where you are, where you know where exactly you want to go, right? And you know exactly where you go because you have the clarity to do that, right? So this is our practice today. All right, so to briefly review last week's life scenario and balanced life, let me briefly go through. Is this true? Let me briefly go through the idea of the spirit, the soul, the body, and environment, because we will be talking about how we can take that bucket list, right? How we can organize the bucket list based on the category of the goals, and then use that to transfer it into our life scenario, and then build that life scenario and a balanced life for ourselves. But so last week, when we talked about this, we talked about also about absolute life, absolute balanced life, right? So balanced life means that we don't just live our life into one certain direction, right? We just don't go for being super, super wealthy and don't care about our health, right? Or we care super about our health, but don't care about our family, right? And or we care about the environment, but we don't care about money and our body, right? So we want to care about things differently, and we want to fulfill all these desires that we have in an equal way. And that is how we can live a balanced life. And in order to have an absolute life on top of that is basically, we need to know what is our maximum limits that we want to achieve right now, right? And an absolute life for everybody is different for everybody as well. It's personal to you and me, right? My absolute life is not the same as your absolute life, right? Your absolute life is awesome to you. My absolute life is awesome to me. And that way we are both awesome, right? That's how it works. All right, so the very first thing, the life scenario, we have the spirit, right? And for the spirit, last week when we talked about it, the spirit is the part of our body, the category of our body where we have awareness, where we have the sensitivity and understanding of this spiritual landscape that we are in, right? As we all know, in one level or another, we are not really this body, this three-dimensional body we are living in, right? But we somehow understand that we have a soul, we have a spirit that we're living and experiencing things through, right? And we have an understanding that for some reason we can transcend time as well, right? Our body, we can't move through time. Like we're stuck in this time, you and me here together. It's 7:51 right now in Thailand, right? And in your localized time, it might be different, but it's still the same time, right? But our minds, our spirit, we can actually think of different things and we can transcend time. We can move forward in time, we can move backwards in time, meaning that I can think about what I ate yesterday, right? And I can think about what I'm going to eat tomorrow, right? So this is partially of what our spirit is about. But more than that, our spirit is about faith and assurance and stability, right? We want to understand and have faith in the things that are untouchable in our lives, right? Also, within our spirit, we want to have the hope and the confidence, right? To just get things, and we want to expect things and expect positive things, good things to happen, greatness to happen, and also that life has meaning, right? So for the spirit, if I were to summarize the spirit into one single word, right? Actually, I have a couple of words now, but if there was one single word, I would summarize it into the word called love, right? So the spirit is love. We express love through ourselves. We look for love all around us, right? And try to contribute to that love, right? So this is what I would summarize the spirit into. And in order to express the spirit, in order to fulfill the desires of the spirit, right? I mean, there's certain things we can do. I mean, if I categorize it as love right now, it's not just like saying, I love you, sarang heyo, right? But it's more than that. We need to fulfill our desires for our family and our parents, right? So we want to take care of them, the family, parents, right? We want to make goal to fulfill their lives, right? Because they have brought us up, they have supported us, right? And we want to not necessarily about paying back, right? We want to take care of our parents, right? Then we have our friends and co-workers, right? We want to take care of, friends and co-workers, and occasionally also strangers around us, right? So maybe there's a guard downstairs in the building, right? I walk past him every day, right? After a couple of years, if I don't say hi to him, it would be really, really weird, right? So I want to like show the love and help out strangers as well, even just if it's just a saying hi or like, hello, how are you? And just a smile, right? This is how our spirit expresses love. All right, so the soul, right? The second part to this 4 areas of desires deals with our self-consciousness. It's about our intellect, right? It's about our mind, right? It's about how we learn things, our thoughts, our reasonings, right? Our logic as well, right? But it also deals with emotions as well. So the soul deals with emotions, right? It deals with happiness, it deals with anger, right? One second. Right, so emotions, so whatever we feel is part of the soul, and habitual feeling is about temperament as well. So in temperament is things like when certain things happen, right, then we usually react in a certain way, and that's based on our temperament. And I mean, it's not about being good and bad. It's like, for example, I'm an introvert, so my temperament is usually to stay quiet most of the time, right? So but this is part of the soul, right? So then the soul also deals with will and choices and action and motivation, right? So the soul, if I were to categorize or summarize the soul into one word, it would be to learn, right? L-E-R-N, L-E-A-R-N, right? Is to learn. That would be one word I would to categorize the soul into. And if I were to explain to you how to express your soul outwards, right, then it first starts with learning. You need to first intake new information, understand information, right, before you can express the soul outwards. Because the soul is about learning. So the soul wants to study. First of all, it wants to study and experience new things. It's not about just knowledge, but it's also about studying culture, studying languages, studying art and music and creative things, not just about like logic and data and research, but like study what life is about, right? Then when the soul studies, the soul also wants to practice its craft, right? The soul wants to practice its craft. Let's say I've been learning how to play guitar since high school, right? But I'm not really great at it. I just like to tingle around with the guitar here and then, right? But I absolutely love blues riff and playing blues on my guitar, right? So when I study like blues, and I don't really call it study. I just read a couple of notes and tablatures, right? That's how I study. And then I just practice the guitar. And that's how I provide the desires for my soul. It's not really about like magnificent learning or like creations or anything, but it's really to spend time with your soul, to learn new things, to practice. For me, it's the guitar, and I tingle around sometimes for hours on the guitar, right? And I mean, the ultimate goal afterwards would be to create something that is of value for others, right? So for the soul, like how we express our desires of the soul is we study first, and we practice, right? And through this whole practice, we create things for others, right? Through music, we create music for others. Through speaking, through education, we create knowledge for others, right? And we share valuable things for others, right? And this is how the soul wants to express itself. All right, third thing, the body, right? Again, the body wants to live. So one word, to live, right? And then when we think about about our body, it's about dealing with world consciousness, right? So if soul is about self-consciousness, right? The body is about the consciousness all around us, right? So it's not the last part yet, the environment, right? But it's how we sense our body. It deals with our sight, right? How we see our body, how we smell our body, right? How we how we smell our body, right? How we smell our surrounding and environment through our body, right? How we hear everything around us through our body, how we taste things, how we touch things, right? These are how our body lives through, right? And lives through our senses. And therefore, our body also wants to have like special well-being as well. It wants to live well. It wants to take care of the body physical systems, right? The brain needs to work, the food functions and all the senses need to work, the breathing systems need to work, the digestion system needs to work, right? The toilet system needs to work as well, right? So everything in the body needs to work. And this is what the body sort of like does, right? So as well, do we want to like get strong, or do we don't we take care of our body, you know? And when we don't take care of our body, then we feel disorder and dis-ease in our body, right? To the level where some people experience cancer as well. So so this is another thing that you want to think about. If you're not fulfilling your life in all areas, right, and you start to build disease, right, one of the first diseases a person gets when they don't fulfill all of this is cancer. And this is something to think about. All right, so physical system. So what we also worry about in terms of body is appearance as well, right? So we want how, like, not just about our inner health, but our appearance. How do we look? Do we look handsome? Do we look beautiful? Do we look white? Do we look dark? Right? Do we look like in any way, right? So, but if there are three things we want to like express our body through, right? If there were three things, the first of all, of course, is health, right? The health. The second thing would be wealth, right? How much we earn, how much we have, how much we can spend and gadgets and things like that. And then also career, right? What we actually do with our body, right? What is our career? What do we spend our 8 hours, 10 hours a day on, right? This is what our body desires through. Last thing, environment, right? An environment, just to go through this. So the environment is about sharing, right? So and here's a new thing about the environment, and I actually never talked about it in this way, but the environment, when you put all these together, the environment kind of becomes your seeding ground. The environment becomes your farmland. So we talk about like planting ideas in our minds, right? This is part of the environment as well, but when we actually cultivate this, our spirit, our soul, and our body in the environment becomes our seeding ground, right? It becomes our farmland and how things grow, right? So when you take care of your environment well, and when you set things in your environment to a specific way, then you can grow really, really well in your life, right? So 3 things for the environment. The first thing is you should donate, right? That's simple forms of money donation, food donation. Then if it's not material things that you can donate, then you can donate your time in forms of volunteering. And the last form is education. Is that still on the board? Phew. So the 3 things are donation, volunteering, and education, right? So these are 3 things that you could express yourself through to your environment, right? And the highest form really for sharing and providing value is education. When you are able to take a concept and teach it to somebody so that they understand what you understand, right? Then you are an educator, right? And the greatest thing about us here being inside of Atomy and in the Atomy business, it's that Atomy business is an education system, right? So what we do, apart from like selling and sharing products and like promoting events, right? We actually educate people, not just on the product education, but we educate people on life, how to achieve success like you're here, right? And I hope you take all these concepts, right? And you do your life scenario, you do your bucket list, right? And you find your accountability partner and share all those things with your accountability partner so that you can help educate your accountability partner about what you do, right? And then maybe they will educate it further to whoever they're networked with, right? And that's what we are hoping for here as well. All right, so these are the 4 areas. So last week, when we were doing this, we were also talking about one brief slide, which is about a brief self-assessment. So I want to show you the slide briefly. Awesome. So last week when we did this self-assessment, 1 second. All right. So last week when we did this self-assessment, we asked you to basically rate yourself in these 4 areas, right? So in terms of spirit, soul, body, environment, as we discussed it right now, right? And here you can also see the Army motto as well, right? So for the spirit, we have the phrase cherish the spirit, right? And if you were to put a question or a statement to that, right, then rate yourself on, do you know what your ultimate purpose in life is, right? If you cherish the spirit to the fullest, then you would know what your ultimate purpose in life is. Now, here's the thing, like most people don't know or don't really know what their purpose in life is. And finding your purpose in life is also a journey that you need to embark on as well. And this might be something that you might not be able to rate yourself on a 10 yet, but when you ponder about it, when you gain more clarity about what you want to do in your life, when you do this life scenario, when you look at all these areas that you might have overlooked in your life, and I hope you will be able to find your purpose through that. Now, for the soul, create a vision, right? For the soul, it is about understanding that there is enough in this world, right? If your soul believes that everything is limited, your life is limited, like you can't do things because of certain limitations, right? Then your soul can't express itself to its fullest capability as well. So it's important, very important to believe that there's enough in this world, and whatever you want to achieve, whatever you want to do, there are resources available for you and will be made available to you at that point once you're ready to take that next step, right? So you need to believe that there's enough in this world. So for the body, follow the faith, right? So when we understand that whatever we want to do in our lives, then things that will happen to you is that we want certain things, but that certain thing hasn't happened to you just yet, right? But what we need to have in our body is to be able to have the faith to follow our creation of our vision through our soul and follow our spirit by cherishing our spirit, right? So when we follow that faith, then we understand that things will happen for us. So here, as a statement, what I say and what I do are congruent with each other, meaning that once you have the vision, once you cherish your spirit, and once you create that vision in your mind, and once you start saying that your dreams out loud, and once your actions follow what you say, then it is proof that you have the faith that like the things that you do will fall into place. So last thing, the environment, surfing humility. I share everything with everyone all the time, right? So when you literally share everything that you have, like, and it's not, I'm not saying that you should just give everything away, right? But when you start really just sharing, like halving your food or just sharing things with others, like, and you rarely mind of you have enough, right? You just like, you share all the time, right? And you share knowledge, you share products, you share food, you share experience, right? You share stories, right? You share things all the time. This is really serving in humility as well. And there was a really great phrase I read about serving humility. It's about serving humility is not about putting yourself down. It's not about thinking about yourself less or being less than another person. It's simply about thinking about other people more and what you could do for them. Right? It's not about putting yourself down. It's just about thinking about other people more and thinking about what you can do for them. All right, so when you have this, take a screenshot, write it down, and rate yourself daily on 1 to 10, right? How you have fulfilled your spirit today, how you fulfilled your soul today, how did you fulfill your body today, how did you fulfill your environment today, right? And you can do this with the Army motto as well, right? You can just simply ask yourself, like, how much did I cherish my spirit today? How much did I create the vision today? How much did I follow the faith today? How much did I serve in humility today? Right? So you can ask yourself this question and review and rate yourself every single day on this Atomy model, right? This is what's so awesome about this Atomy model. All right. So I know it's 8:10, so I briefly want to go through this clarity habit, right? So we discussed about habits last week. So on Friday, when we were talking about habits, it was important that we understand that habits are simple little things that we do in our lives, right? But when we do them every single day, then they will help improve our lives. And one of the habits that we need to have is the habit of clarity, right? We need to be very, very clear about what we want for our spirit, what we want for our soul, what we want for our body, what we want for our environment, right? We need to be very, very clear about that. So, and for that reason, when we did our bucket list, right? So when we wrote our bucket list down, and when you've written your bucket list down, right? Your bucket list is usually about many, many things, right? About many, many areas, right? And so the very first thing that we need to be clear about is to understand in which area your bucket list belongs to, right? So does your bucket list belong to a goal of the spirit? Does your bucket list belong to a goal of your soul? Does your bucket list belong to is a goal for your body, right? Or is the bucket list a goal for your environment, right? Now, I have here a sample bucket list from Joseph Kim's bucket list, right? So this is a demo bucket list for this live scenario. So let me pick out a random list. So we have here number 9, become an Atomy YouTuber and reach 1 million subscribers, right? Become an Atomy YouTuber and reach 1 million subscribers. Now, this is, in order to get there, this requires skills, right? So this is part of the soul and learning to practice and to create, especially like those videos and stuff. So this particular goal to get there is a goal for the soul, right? But the results, the specific results of being Atomy YouTuber and to reach 1 million subscribers is a goal for the body, right? Because it's part of the career, right, that this person wants to achieve, right? So travel the Mediterranean on my own yacht, right? On my own yacht. This is a very interesting goal here. So this goal again is twofold, right? The person stated on my own yacht. So it is part of the wealth goal for your body to own your own yacht. So this is the first part of the goal. The second part of the goal is for the soul, is that part where you want to go out and travel and experience new things, right? So that goal is twofold, right? So I would recommend you to actually break down that goal into, I'm gonna buy my own yacht, right? And then the second goal, I'm gonna drive my own yacht to the Mediterranean and travel there for a while, right? So two-part goal, right? So this is very important to understand, because when you want to fulfill the desires of your body, like the 4 areas of your human desires, right? You need to understand these parts, right? Let's pick another goal. Learn how to make bœuf bourguignon. I assume that is a French dish, right? Learn how to make a dish, right? So this is part to study, a part of the soul is to study how to make food, right? Then you practice how to make that food, then you create that food for your family, for your friends, for others, right? So this is part of the soul. Let's see. Give $500 a month to my parents. So this is part of the spirit goal, even though it is a wealth portion where you have to earn that money, of course, right? Or it's like part of your income, right? But to give it away to your parents is part of your spirit, to give love to your parents and to provide filial duty to your parents, right? Let's pick out another goal. Rent out a restaurant to have a party on my anniversary, right? Very interesting. So this is part of multiple part goal too. So this is part of the body, right? It's part of the wealth goal to have that that event, right? To do that, right? To be have the ability to do that. But the sublining goal is also part of goal for the spirit and the soul as well, because when you host that party for other people, you want to provide for other people, right? It's not just for your status, right? Even though you want to maybe have a party to show off for something, right? Or like an opening party or something, right? But the underlying factor, like the points under the iceberg, right? It's a spirit goal and a soul goal. The spirit where you want to provide something for other people, provide things for other people, and it's a soul goal where you actually want to have the appearance, be representative at that area at a certain level, like a title or rank, something like that, right? So this is part of that goal. And so what I want to go through is basically when you look at your goals, you need to think about if is your goal part of the spirit goal, soul goal, body goal, or an environment goal, right? And it's also completely all right if the goal is combined in all these areas. What we want to basically go through is that if they're combined, it's fine, but you need to have at least one goal or like at least 2-3 goals in each of these areas, right? And this is where we go to our life wheel and life scenario, right? So when you think about these 4 areas, right, you start to think about and gain more clarity of what you really want in those areas. So what you want to do is you want to get your bucket list and pick out 8 of them, right, and make sure that each goal is part of those 4 areas. And what you want to do is you write the titles of each area in your house, you write your goals in each area, and you start to rate yourself, and you will have this compass for your life, right, where everything is listed out, right? So if you want to know more about writing this, right, so there are a lot of videos on YouTube as well, and we can go through this again at one other session, but I want to go more into clarity, and maybe I can have 15 minutes more on clarity. So how this connects is that when we have clarity on all of these, right, when we have clarity over the vision of what we want to have, right, when we can envision how a life can be balanced, right, when we set consistent, clear intentions, how we provide for our spirits, right? So the things we do today, it is for our spirit, right? And then we have clarity about the things that we do today. This is for our soul, right? This is for my body, right? And this is for an environment. When we can constantly envision these areas and work with all these areas on a constant basis, right? Then we have this clarity, then we can truly cherish the spirit and have that balanced life that we want to have, right? So let me go into my brief second slides. So I have this one earlier. So just to briefly go through, and since we're limited on time, there are just there will be a lot of questions coming up, right? Initially, I thought to give you time to answer these questions, right? But for the purpose of the time limitation, let's just go through each slide. Remember to write the question or the statement down, or you can just take a screenshot as well. Maybe I can also share this presentation towards the end of the session as well, so that you have access to that, right? So for the very first part, when we were talking about habits, right? Last week, Friday, we were talking about 6 separate habits that we want to go through. And today we want to briefly go through this habit of clarity. And the thing is, we have been already talking a lot about how to seek that clarity by creating this bucket list, by understanding all these 4 different areas in our lives, right? How they affect our lives in such way, right? Has been all part of this habit of seeking clarity. And I want you to understand that clarity is a habit that you need to create for yourself, right? And the very first thing, and we have done this already, is to envision your balanced life, is to really envision how you live through your spirit, how you live through your body, your soul, your environment, right? Spirit, soul, body, environment, right? I want you to really envision these areas, right? And when you do, I want you to basically write the statement down or take a screenshot, right? So when you do, I want you to think about these areas, these 4 areas: spirit, soul, body, environment. And you want to think about how you can provide more intention, more clarity in those areas, right? So think about the areas that I haven't had as much intention in as I should, right? And what could I do to cue myself to be more intentional in those areas, right? Think about each of these areas, right? So take a screenshot for this. We are limited on time, right? So let's go to the next statement. So next statement on envisioning your balanced life. So you have these 4 areas. So you want to be more intentional within these 4 areas, right? And you want to be intentional with all the people that you work with, your friends, your family, your network, your partners, even the strangers that are around you, right? So you want to be more intentional with those that you serve and lead, right? And what are the things that you could start doing in those areas, right? So this is really to dig down more in depth and gain more clarity on what you could do for each of these areas. All right. So next one, we want to leave a lasting legacy. The contributions I can start making now are. So this is the statement. Now, this becomes really, really important within Atomy, because when we work on Atomy, we actually work on building a legacy. So if you don't know that yet, right, I really want you to understand this. The moment you start working on Atomy, the moment you create this like kickstart the system, become auto sales master and everything, move up the ranks, right? You will leave a lasting legacy and make more contributions, not just in your life, but you'll help thousands and thousands of other people to become financially free as well, right? It's really an awesome opportunity to be in. All right, so this is the first part. So I want you to envision your balanced life, right? So the second part, and there's total 3 parts to this. The second part is that I want you to figure out and determine the feeling that you're after, right? So, and we need to be able to control our feelings. We need to ask ourselves frequently, what is the primary feeling that we want to feel today, right? And my goal for every single day is to feel happy, to feel grateful, to feel joyful about life, right? And in all of our lives, we know there are things that happen, like sometimes here and there, right? And we sometimes punched around, kicked around because life kicks in, right? But we want to, these are the primary feelings that we want to go after, right? So I want you to, so the statements that we want to cover here is firstly, what are the emotions that you have been experiencing a lot lately, right? So what are the emotions that you have been coming across a lot? And are these the emotions that you actually want to feel? Or are these the emotions that are these emotions that life just throws at you because of like peripheral things that happen in your life, right? So the emotions that you have been experiencing as of late are, right? And you need to be clear of this, like what emotions you feel. Because when you are clear about this, then you can also be clear about the areas of the life where you're not having the feelings that you want, right? So if you live your daily on a daily basis and there's some areas where that area, it's going great, it's going good, but it's not really the feeling that you want, right? You need to be clear about that. And you need to be clear about what exactly it is, what the exact feeling is that you want to feel in that particular area in life, right? So we still think about, you know, spirit, soul, body, environment, right? How you feel about all of these areas. Then, of course, we want to go after our primary feeling. We want to feel good. We want to feel grateful. We want to feel thankful. We want to feel joyful about life. So we want to experience more of those things, but it is personal to you. What feelings do you desire? What feelings do you want to experience more of, right? You need to be clear about that so that you can generate those feelings. And we'll be talking about the habit of generating energy in one of those days, right? So we want you to generate these feelings. All right. So the last part of defining or seeking clarity is to really define what's meaningful to you, right? So there are a lot of meaningful things in life, right? There's a lot of meaningful things in the world. And if you ask 10 people, you probably get 100 answers of what's meaningful. But what's clear is that you need to be clear about what's meaningful to you, right? So not everything that is achievable is important, right? I recently got a cancer coaching certificate, which was important to me, it was meaningful to me, right? But if I were to get uh, like I don't know, some other certificate, let's say drawing certificate, which I like drawing, but it's not really meaningful to me right now. Or if I were to get some other certificate, right? But what's meaningful to me right now was to get that cancer certification because of my mom, right? And that was meaningful to me. So you need to think about what's meaningful to you as well. So think about the activities that you're currently doing that bring you the most meaning, right? Think about all the activities that you are currently doing that bring you the most meaning, right? And when you think about that, then you also will think more fulfilled about like what is it that you really, really want, right? Because if the activities provide you more meaning, then when you do them, you feel more meaning, you feel better, you feel more happier, you feel more joyful, you feel more thankful because still, even if that activity to another person looks so meaningless, right? But that activity is very meaningful to you, right? So but you need to be aware of that. And when you understand that these activities are bringing you more meaning, then we should do more of that, right? Then you also should understand the activities or projects that you should stop doing because there's not much meaning and it's not bringing you any meaning, right? So even if you do it, you feel depleted, you feel like it doesn't make sense, like there's no much value in it, right? This is really the feeling that you get when you work on things where you just have no passion for, right? So, and when you work on these things now, this is also a bit twofold because if you have a career where you have to work in order to make money, right, then that's like there's more to it than just stopping that activity, right? But when you work on something, let's say you are in a job that you aren't happy about, right? Then you need to think about like why you are there and which part of the job actually provides you meaning, right? Maybe the whole picture of the job you're not happy about, but maybe there's some activities within that job that provide you meaning, and maybe there's some activities within that particular job that doesn't provide you any meaning at all. But when we are clear about this, then we can divide these activities and we can work on the things that are more meaningful to us, that provide us more value, right? And those things that provide us not much meaning, we can outsource, we can delegate, we can stop doing, right? We can figure out how other people can do the things that we don't want to do, right? So what's meaningful to you? So the last part on what's meaningful. So if you were going to add new activities that bring you more meaning, the first one that you would add, what would it be? Right? So if you want to find, or if you have an activity in mind that would bring you more meaning in life, and when you do these activities, then you feel more happier, you feel more grateful, you feel more fulfilled, like you feel like life has meaning, life has is more powerful, more joyful, more colorful, right? Then you can do those things. All right, awesome. So this is about clarity. So I really wanted you to have the clarity in this session. Let me briefly stop sharing my screen. So we really wanted you to have clarity in the session to understand what it is really that you want in your life, right? And we've covered earlier in the slides three specific areas in clarity. First, you need to be really clear about the four areas, about your spirit, about your soul, about your body, about your environment. Once you become clear about your desires in each of these four areas, then you can start building a balanced life for yourself, right? Because when you see you need to do more for your spirit, right? Because your spirit is lacking, right? Then set up more goals, do more activities around your spirit. If you see that your soul is lacking, then set up more activities, learn more, do more, practice more, create more for your soul. If you see your body is lacking, then just do more exercises, eat healthier, work more, or do more activities, right, to provide for your body. If you see that you're not doing much for your environment, just donate more, volunteer more, and educate more, right? And now that we're on the topic of education, right, I really hope that you take this content today and start talking with others, right? Start helping others to create a bucket list, because all of you already know how to create a bucket list, right? So go out there and help others to create a bucket list. It will help you twofold. One, you build better relationships because you understand what the goals and dreams of other people are, right? And two, it will open up you for the next step to create a life scenario, right? So you need to create a life scenario for yourself first, right? In order to help another person to create a life scenario as well. So the challenge for you for today is to create a life scenario, right? So last week we asked you to create a bucket list. Today we asked you to create a life scenario. And since if you haven't created a new life scenario yet, every month, just make a new life scenario so that throughout the months when you've gathered new dreams, new goals, new desires, right, you can just put them into that bucket list and put them into that life scenario, right? And the second thing is, once you have the life scenario, you can start educating others as well, right, on how to do this. You can just share them what you're currently doing as well, but it's also a form of education. Remember when you went high school or in graduate class, like fourth grade, and like you were studying, and then the kid next to your seat was like, hey, B, what are you studying? Like, I'm studying this, right? It's the same thing. It's peer education. In our world, it's called peer coaching now, right? But I mean, just have fun with it, right? Just share what you've learned, have them share what you've learned, and then life will be fun with that. All right. Now, so the second thing is that accountability partner. The last week we asked you to find an accountability partner, right? So I hope you did. If you haven't, right, find. If you already have, find more. If you haven't, find at least one person that will be your accountability partner, right? And there are many people in here as well that you can just write up. Hey, you want to be my accountability partner, right? So there are many people that you can help. But think about this: like if you bring somebody, like if you talk to somebody who has no connection to Adam yet, or no connection to our family here yet, right? Then you can talk to them about bucket list. You can help them build a life scenario, and then you can help them to understand Atomy more, right? So think of it as a tool to introduce people into Atomy as well, right? So we don't need to just talk about products. We don't even need to talk about business. Ask them, what are your goals and dreams, right? It's a simple question. So you can start with them. Now, I wanted to do one last exercise. That is the setting alarm exercise that from Brendon Burchard. Yunia, do you want to do it? Or we can do it maybe next week as well.
It's 31 already though.
Yeah, it's quite late.
So let's just we can do it next week, and then when we have more time.
Okay, so then I will just briefly for 1 minute explain what this exercise is. So this exercise, what it is in your phone. Yeah, I'm using my phone as my camera so that I don't have access to my phone right now. But in your phone, you have you can set alarm throughout the day, right? And I believe you have an alarm to wake up, maybe alarm for something else, right? But now let's be creative with our alarms and how we can use these alarms to like notify us throughout our day of some important things that we should think about or feel about, right? So one of the exercises that is recommended from some coaches is to set an alarm throughout the day for one single word or phrase that you feel or you believe in, right? And the exercise that I wanted to do today is for you to go through spirit and think of a word that you relate to the spirit, right? So my keyword is love, and my personal keyword for spirit is love as well. So I actually have an alarm on my phone. So whenever it hits that time, the alarm in my phone would go off through ding, 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 and then the word love would show on my alarm, right? And it would be a simple tool to just remind you throughout the day about your core beliefs, about your core emotions, right? For example, earlier we were asking you about what is the primary emotion that you want to feel throughout the day, right? This is, for example, something for the goal, right? So the primary emotion that, for example, I want to feel throughout the day is, I mean, soul is about learning, but the primary emotion, soul is also about emotions. And the primary emotion that I want to feel is gratitude, right? I want to feel love and gratitude. These are the two powerful emotions that I will feel throughout the day. And there's a time in my alarm clock, it will go ding, 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 right? And when I open my phone, then it will show gratitude on my phone. And that's how I remind myself of important words throughout the day, so that we are very, very busy throughout the day. So it's important to always have tools and systems in our hands so that we can remind myself on how awesome we are, right? So I hope you can use these tools for yourself as well. All right, so awesome. So today we talk about Absolute Life. We talk extended from last week to from the bucket list to the life scenario, right? So from next week, we will go a bit further on the life scenario and see how we use this life scenario as a monthly tool and update it on a monthly basis, right? As well as next week, Monday, we will be also talking about another habit. I believe it's the habit of, habit of energy. So next week, Monday, we will talk about energy. So we have the clarity, and now we need to generate energy to do all the things, the goals and dreams in our lives, right? And most importantly, once we want to become a pure master, so we need to generate that energy. And energy is a habit, right? So it's a habit for us to build a lot of energy, to have power and have joy, have gratefulness in life, to achieve all the things that we want to achieve. Right, so awesome. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for joining.
And